I would love to start, actually, before we even start, to acknowledge the land that I'm joining this webinar from. I recognize we're probably from all parts of Australia, but I would love to acknowledge the Darug Nation and people as the traditional custodians of country that I'm joining from, and would love to acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia, and would recognize their continuing connection to land, sea, and community, and pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. We're really excited to have you all here today. It's a great session. This is one of my favorite events that we do. It's a chance to connect particularly with volunteers, to share our stories of our not-for-profits, and also of what it can look like as a volunteer in lockdown, out of lockdown, in and out of lockdown. So there are some great stories that we get to share today. I might move on to a bit of housekeeping, I like to call it, using Zoom. You know where the bathroom is if you need to duck off. You can use the chat to ask any questions or chat throughout the event. We'll be asking some questions and we would love you to engage. So you can either use the chat, type it out, or you can just unmute. It's going to be a nice interactive session. We'd love to hear your voices as well. We've used a bit of a thumbs up reaction. Myself and Jayna might do that again, just because it's fun. Feel free to use the reactions, and feel free to unmute at any time, ask a question, join in the conversation. Sejana's on the reactions, Carolyn's on the reactions. I love it already. Okay, that's a bit of our housekeeping. If you have any issues, just pop them in the chat. Now, let's talk about story circles and getting started. We have there a QR code. If you've got a phone and you're obsessed with QR codes because you have to sign in every single time you enter anywhere these days. If you're sick of QR codes, we have a link in the chat. Whatever method you use, I think it's easier on your computer, but it is still doable on your phone. We'd love you to use this link. It'll actually take you to the Communiteer platform, and it's not a shameless plug. You're not getting, I don't know, locked into a 12-year contracts for $100.99. What it will do, it'll take you to the platform. You'll have to sign up as a user, and it'll take you to our story circles thing on the Communiteer platform. So that helps us know that you're here. It means you can provide feedback later on, and it means that throughout the event, as we advertise different not-for-profits, the opportunities, because you've already got an account, you can go straight to them, check them out, understand their story. So I'm going to give you time right now to create your accounts. Just pop in an email, and then it asks you like what your skills and causes are. So we do that to help personalize your experience on the platform. What kind of volunteering opportunities are you looking for? So the skills that you have, or if you're still studying, what you're studying towards, the areas that you want to be working in. That's what the skills is. You can be as specific or as general as you like. You can always change them later. And then we have causes, just like, what are you passionate about? What makes you function? What gets you going, particularly in the realms of volunteering? You might be a climate action warrior. I'm a trained teacher, so I have a soft spot for education and empowerment. So it just gives us a nice little snapshot of who you are and how you want to help. So take some time, fill out that sign up form. Let me know if you run into any troubles. It's like immediate IT support. And it's like the Optus chatbot, but a human.
Yeah, better than the Optus chatbot.
I'm glad you think so, Jayna. Hey, Beck, thanks for joining us. If you, I don't know if you can see the link. Olivia might have to send it again. I know you already have an account, so this link won't ask you to sign up. It'll just take you straight to our Story Circles events. It's kind of like the volunteering opportunities. So you can join it, say you were here, provide some feedback if you like at the end. But if you click on it now, it'll just take you to the events. And if you're there, if you've already found it, just click join opportunity. And that's kind of like, this is like a tutorial for what it looks like to actually join a volunteering opportunity later. So low risk though, because it's just us. Has anyone already finished the sign up process? Maybe give me a thumbs up on the reactions if you're already done, already on. Excellent, Ashna, Vinya, lovely.
So, William, does it matter if you don't sign up?
It doesn't matter, but we would love you to, if possible.
Yeah, I just might do it later on, that's all.
Not a problem. Excellent. Okay, if you're in the process of it, feel free to continue going. If you're going to save it for later, totally fine too. Jayna, let's duck to the next slide because this is my favorite slide.
Perfect.
I would love to get to know you all. I should start with introducing myself because I've just been talking nonstop for about 7 minutes now. My name is Willem Booker. I'm the community engagement manager at Communiteer, so I actually speak to our not-for-profits and their volunteer managers. I get to chat to our volunteers. I help match them up, see how they're going. It's an awesome job. I'm dialing in from Sydney, as I mentioned, Darug country. I already spoke about my current role. I work at Communiteer. What does volunteering mean to me? Even in high school, we had when World Vision comes in and runs programs and things like that. I loved that in high school. I was an ambassador, we called them, from year 10, and even got to go overseas and help out the projects that we were sponsoring and things like that. So I've been passionate about volunteering and particularly international aid and development, even since early high school. As I mentioned, I'm a trained teacher, so I'm passionate about education, climate action, world poverty, you name it. That's what brought me here to Communiteer, because I'm big on social impact and love to see what the contributions we can make as a community, and that's what Communiteer is all about. I might pass it over to Jayna, but before I do, if you feel you can introduce yourself by unmuting, we'll do that after Jayna. But if you want to type it out, you can do that and just send it in the chat, answering those questions. So up to you. Feel free to keep typing as we go. But Jayna, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Will. So hi, everybody. I'm Jayna, and I'm also based in Sydney. So I'm also on the land of the Darug people as well. So yeah, so my current role is I'm a community builder here at Communiteer. So I work with Willem, talking to not-for-profits, talking to volunteers, basically trying to help both help both do the most they can on our platform. Yeah, and volunteering means to me, it's an opportunity that people can use the skills that they've built up within their everyday lives and find new environments, new communities to kind of use these skills and give back to the community, and kind of get just a little bit more involved in the world and in the societies that are around them. And the causes that I am passionate about are refugee and immigrants. So I'm passionate about equality in Australia and also about sustainable living, because I see it as a really interesting opportunity for ourselves and the people around us to find creative ways to live that will benefit both the environment and both the community. Yeah, and so I'm currently studying uni student, as Will mentioned earlier. I'm studying international and global studies. Yeah, so I'm interested in sustainable living and refugee and immigrants across a global range. Yeah, so that's me really quickly. Was there anybody else that would like to introduce themselves today? Feel free to just unmute. Yes, Carolyn?
Oh, hi, my name is Carolyn, and I'm in Lismore, which is in the Northern Rivers, which is near Byron Bay and Nimbin and that, north of New South Wales. So right at the moment, I'm a student studying a Bachelor of Arts at Southern Cross University, which is a university here. But I have already done an undergrad degree in a Bachelor of Trauma and Healing, which is, I studied at the Guinea College of Indigenous people. So this is Bundjalung area, which is the Widjabul people in Wyabul country. What does volunteering mean to me? I've done heaps of volunteering, and it's always sort of, and I suppose it is the standard thing, it's sort of kind of like you're part of a community and you don't want to be outside of it, you want to be part of it, you want to have a role, you want to have a purpose. And so really being able to sort of contribute and give to the community sort of gives to the whole sort of community, harmonises it, and then you sort of benefit from it as well in your role in it, but also being in an environment that's balanced and harmonised for yourself. So for me, the well-being of the community, the health and well-being of the community is really important. Yeah, there's a lot of causes that I'm passionate about: women's issues, children issues, which is a lot, you know. It could range from trauma to education, to, you know, get people's needs met. Yes, environment I think is really important. Nature is really important as well. And disability, people with disabilities as well. Indigenous issues, I think it's really important that this is our history, our old history with the Indigenous people. So that I think is really valuable, and it's really important to get to know and learn. And yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, and I think yeah, we often kind of see that in the communities that we care about, there's often overlap with other communities, and that's kind of a really good opportunity to kind of see and explore all the causes that you would possibly find passion in or possibly be interested in.
Yeah, it's good to work in a local community and be a role model for other communities, so it spreads further, it spreads more nationally and internationally.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Yeah, was there anybody else that would like to go ahead and introduce themselves? I can't see the chat. Oh, yeah.
Hi everyone.
Hello,
I can't see you all. I haven't quite worked out how to get everyone on the screen. So I'm Justine. I am from Sydney, and I am from a charity called Touched by Olivia. So Touched by Olivia, as the name suggests, is a charity in honour of a little girl called Olivia, who was my second child. She passed away when she was 8 months old to a rare disease. At the time I was on maternity leave, and I was a lawyer. But then I was sort of spearheaded into a different kind of pathway. I've always been, by building a charity in her memory, I've always been very passionate about social issues, about people's well-being. And I've always volunteered in the community, but I think sort of taking it to the next level, feeling like I had a duty to do to honour my daughter's memory has really driven me into trying to find some meaning. We have worked for the last 15 years through initiatives that focus on play and bringing play to all people, regardless of their background, their ability. And we have been really proud of what we've achieved in building inclusive play spaces around Australia called Livy's Places. I'm not sure if you've heard of any of them. They're splattered all across the country, and they have challenged the built environment and people's mindsets around what inclusion looks like. And I guess as Olivia would have grown through the years, our scope has grown, and now we're working in a wider focus around community inclusion. So this is why I love Communiteer, because it's bringing the social capital in community together with the people in the community who are really vulnerable and need a little bit more help. So we're about to launch a model called Community Circles. And I think there's some real synergies in what we are doing and what Communiteer does. So I'm really keen. I'm a really big collaborator. I love sharing. I love working together. So I'm really excited about what Communiteer and the stories they'll present today. But basically, I'm passionate about inclusion. And if we get that right, then a lot of other social issues disappear because we're all feeling like we belong somewhere. We're feeling like we're contributing. And I think that's what volunteering is all about, is being a contributor in our community. So that's my story.
Thanks so much, Justine. It was so lovely to hear your story. And yeah, stories like yours are the ones that we're actually trying to share at Story Circles. Maybe we can even get you to present at the next Story Circles. I might chat to you about that later.
We're going to be best friends, Willem.
Totally. Yeah, amazing. We should actually start sharing some of those stories. We would love to continue hearing from you. There'll be a few more interaction points throughout the session. But Jayna, would love you to start telling some of our stories.
Yeah, of course. So, so our first not-for-profit that we have today is the Multicultural Youth Affairs Network of New South Wales. So they are a statewide multicultural youth specialist service that helps support people from migrant and refugee backgrounds to help develop the skills, knowledge, and network that they need to create change within their communities and to help them fulfill their potential to become active citizens in Australian society. So they work really closely with academics, policymakers, and practitioners to basically build meaningful connections and develop resources that are available to these people. And they do this while ensuring that they honour everyone's unique cultures, experiences, and heritages, and celebrates the diversity of Australia. So they really do focus a lot on a sense of community through collaboration and creating network of support systems, which I think we've all recognized today is a very important theme. And they also aim to provide a space for young people to become their own advocates and leaders in the same settings as everyone else in Australia. So they do this through hosting programs such as the Youth Ambassador Program, the Welcome to Australia Program, the Capacity Building Program, and the Multicultural Youth Affairs Network meetings. So this is a little bit more of the area for academics and policymakers. So they have a variety of spaces wherein different groups of people can collaborate and basically work towards the same cause, regardless of how they would like to do it. So they have an opportunity up on our platform at the moment. So this is one way that you will be able to help not-for-profits that align with the same causes that you believe in. And we've got a QR code up here. So this will work the same as the Story Circles QR code before, or I think Olivia will also put a chat in the link. And that will take you directly to the opportunity that's on our platform at the moment. So just a little bit more about this opportunity here. So the Multicultural Youth Affairs Network is looking for an SEO or search engine optimization specialist to help bring their website in line with SEO best practice. So this will basically ensure that they can expand upon any opportunities to drive traffic, donations, and volunteers to the organization, which will help them become sustainable and so that they can continue to provide support for the youth in Australia. And so this will also include looking over all of their social media profiles and making sure that all of these points of connection with the community are in line with their website and their image. So I think I'll give a few seconds for anyone who would like to go through the QR code to the platform. And also keeping in mind, we've also got all of these QR codes at the end. So if you do miss any, or if you would like to sign up later, we've also got them at the end for you so that you can still access all of these opportunities. Okay. I know that wasn't a lot of time, but I think we can move on. If any questions arise or if you feel like I'm going a bit too fast, don't hesitate to just speak up. Okay.
Thanks, Jayna. So with that opportunity, it was an SEO specialist. You might not have any specializations in search engine optimization. I know I don't, but if you resonate with the communities, you can also follow those links and follow them or become a supporter on the Communiteer platform, so you can see other volunteering opportunities that they have, or if you want to just get involved in their organization, you can reach out through the platform to hear more about what they do. So we're advertising particular opportunities and projects that people they're looking for at the moment, but yeah, if you have other ways you can help, then they will be more than welcome. This is another point of interaction where we would actually love to hear from you. I know the name of the event is Not-for-Profit Story Circles, but obviously a huge part of that is the volunteers who help out. So I wanted to do a bit of a reflection exercise. Many of you have volunteered before, so I'd love to hear again, either in the chat or just by unmuting and chatting with us. How has COVID-19, how has the lockdown affected your volunteering habits? Because very early on in the first lockdown in Sydney last year, there were a few reports coming around, even Australia-wide, as lockdowns went Australia-wide, that about 33% of volunteers completely stopped volunteering. They didn't have the chance to. A lot of volunteering is face-to-face, and it just couldn't happen. So we lost almost a third of volunteers at the time, and the ones who remained had to drastically change the way they continued supporting organizations. Does anyone have anything to share about how did it affect you? Did you volunteer before and not now? Did you start volunteering because of it? Carolyn, we'd love to hear from you again.
Yeah, well, I've got a lot of comorbidities. Like I had a heart attack, I've got coronary heart disease and COPD, which is lung problem. So I'm a bit homebound. I'm quite sort of scared to sort of interact outside. So I would think that that's how it's affected me with COVID, because, you know, I really can't afford to catch it.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Carolyn. Were you able to find anything online or any ways to continue volunteering, or you just couldn't do it anymore?
I sort of focus more on sort of applying for graduate programs, and I went through a lot of sort of interviewing sort of processes to get sort of graduate programs. So I've got 2 in the cards at the moment. But there is a New South Wales government virtual sort of internship that I joined up. So that's that's something that can prepare you for graduate programs and learn a little bit about government and stuff like that. So it was not a volunteer work, it's more of an internship online.
For sure. Thanks for sharing, Carolyn. And thanks, Melissa, for sharing your story. I think that many of our not-for-profits would resonate having to stop all events, particularly a couple towards the end of the year, that the annual fundraising events or community events all had to stop. Volunteering at face-to-face level really slowed down if it didn't have to completely stop. And yeah, the reality is a lot of volunteers, they're kind of relying on that constant engagement, the reminder. I think even Red Cross blood donations, if you book in then and there, then you're guaranteed to come back. But if you say, I'll do it later, you often drop off. So yeah, thanks for sharing. I think that really resonates.
And the social interaction is one of the key drivers for people volunteering. I mean, yes, they committed to the cause, but then they get to meet friends and it's a social outing. And, you know, like a lot of our volunteers, because they're in their 70s, often live by themselves. So this is their only social interaction. So it's very hard. And then they found other things to do. And so some of them haven't come back. And also COVID restrictions have restricted people coming back too.
Yeah, totally. Thanks for sharing, Melissa.
So yeah, we're hoping to have all the properties open in the beginning of November.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, we're very excited. Very excited.
That's awesome. Looking forward to hearing the updates on how that all goes. But we actually have a poll question. We want to hear from everyone all at once. is kind of around this question: what excites you about volunteering? Or if you're a volunteer manager, you might be speaking on behalf of your volunteers or what you understand of volunteering. But it's a question around, I guess, what is the reason for volunteering for you? Why do you volunteer? So, Liv, if we could get that poll up and running. Can you only choose a single choice? So choose, they might all be relevant, but choose the most relevant one. What are you looking for from volunteering? What do you want to get out of it most? I get to vote as well.
I don't. That's upsetting.
And neither do I.
Yes, Biftu.
Yeah, thanks for giving this opportunity. I just want to say about myself a bit. I came from East Africa. My background is in community development, so I was working in area of youth, family, refugee, very diverse group. So once upon a time, I was a refugee myself, and I came to Australia through assistance. And the reason I want to volunteer now is I'm setting up a foundation, which has a story related to my stories and my family back home. But there are people who changed my life for me to be here. So I really want to give it back. And I want to volunteer to get an experience and give my skill also at the same time to learn, because there's areas I don't know how to complete setting up my charity, especially in terms of legal advice. So I want to get both way. I have experience in fundraising. I can do that because I work with UNHCR Australia. So I want to give back. It's always, it's my passion, helping. And I got to here because people help me. So I want to do it both way. And I'm really looking someone who can mentor me also to complete my setup, my charities too. So yeah, that's my story. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing, Biftu. And I think that reason for wanting to volunteer doesn't fit in our polls, but that is a lovely story. And even, I'm not sure if have you worked with Communiteer? We actually provide consultations, and well, we find volunteers as well to if you would like support from that. So maybe we can chat afterwards about how we can help. No worries, June. Enjoy your meeting. So I'm just reading the chat as we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's chat afterwards, Biftu.
Thank you. All right.
A lovely story. And maybe we can share the results. And I'm assuming that whatever you answered, you probably have a similar story to Biftu, maybe not from East Africa and going through the same experience, but you have a longer story about why you want to find a community, how you want to use your skills for good. Yeah, I think the community aspect of volunteering is awesome. Okay, it was lovely to get those insights. We have a couple of more not-for-profit stories.
All right. Okay, so thank you for joining in on the poll, everyone. I hope that was fun. Didn't get to join, so I missed out. But anyway, let's move on to our next not-for-profit. So our next not-for-profit is Postvention Australia. So Postvention Australia is a not-for-profit organisation that is dedicated to supporting and helping people bereaved by suicide. So in other words, they are helping support those that are left behind after a suicide takes place. So they are registered and recognised with the International Association for Suicide Prevention, and they aim to promote life through supporting and representing those bereaved by suicide and those that have lost loved ones. So they do this through fostering compassionate response and empowerment by building a sense of community and fostering support and understanding within these communities. And they help with individuals in dealing with the intense emotional trauma and physical and mental tolls that occur when people go through these experiences. And through providing these hope and healing services, they aim to create a cultural change around the space of suicide death and destigmatize this area and help raise public awareness of ways to support those that are left behind. Yeah, so here we have a painting and we've got a little quote with a little story. It's part of their series on their website where they share personal stories from those who have had loved ones commit suicide, which aims to foster a sense of community. So here, B talks about the symbolism of the emotional journey and the experiences of the bereaved within her artwork. So she's the artist that has painted this work, and she's used it as a way to kind of give insight into the pain that these people go through. Yeah, so here we also have an opportunity from Postvention Australia up on our platform. So again, we've got the QR code up the top right. And this opportunity is that they are looking for a volunteer fundraising officer. So this is a role-based opportunity, which means that it's ongoing. So you'll be able to kind of help out when you can over a longer period of time. And they are looking for people with fundraising or communications experience. So this one's a little bit more general than the previous one. Yeah, so they're looking for people to help with their fundraising campaigns, grant applications, and the development of corporate partnerships. So basically to help them look for sponsorship and funding. And through doing this, it will help them be able to sustain and develop new programs to help continue spreading awareness and sharing information about this issue and supporting those that are bereaved by suicide. Yeah, so I'll give you a few minutes or a few seconds maybe to kind of scan into this opportunity if it sounds like something that you want to help out with. Okay, so I'll just move on. Yeah.
Okay, so this is actually another volunteer story. And the reason I saw this is because I saw Beck Archer's name she registered for this event. And we try to spotlight ways that volunteers have helped, because you might have noticed, particularly these opportunities we're showcasing are online, virtual, helping the organization often in the back ends or in the way that they function so that they can provide the support that they do, because our not-for-profits provide so much support and work in the community, whereas a lot of the ways that we can help actually, maybe you're not seeing that work in the community or not specifically working with those that they're helping, but you can actually maximize the way that they help. So Beck, I was fully prepared to tell this story without you, but if you want to share a bit about your experience, would love to hear how this all happens.
This was a fantastic opportunity, and interestingly enough, they rang just this week, and we're just embarking on some other small pieces. I guess that the sad part about that, Willem, is that it's not going on via the Communiteer platform. And I encourage them strongly to go back there and reach out to find other volunteers. But we've really formed a great relationship with the volunteers there. So Katie Rose Cottage is a hospice end of life, and it's a house in Noosa, near Noosa, that was donated to the cause when a family went through that experience. And for their young child, it's actually available to everyone. There's no limit. It's about people who are terminally ill, 6 to 8 weeks of life, and managing that process. And in a way, it's quite beautiful, because there are gardens, there are rooms that are, can I say, salubrious guest rooms that allow the family to come and spend time, stay overnight. There are nurses there full time, but they can only accommodate a very small number of guests at any one time. They're fundraising to increase the number of guest rooms that they can have. they have a database. Well, it's actually an Excel spreadsheet with about 290 people that they try to manage. In any one day, they're probably dealing with about 50 volunteers. And that may be anything from the gardens to the op shops that they run, to people who macrame pot hangers for the plants that they grow in the garden that they then put into little pots and then sell in the op shops. They take furniture donations and look for volunteers and companies that will clean them or refurbish them so they can then sell them on as well. They are looking in any way possible to raise funds. They also do a lot of corporate work. And so all of this was going on in Excel spreadsheets and bits of paper. We've been mapping out that journey to try and help them. It's not about digitising the customer or the volunteer journey, which is where I come from. I'm all about the digitising and technology. It's about helping them in the back end, not have the volunteers spending time cutting and pasting, but having them doing more meaningful work, connecting with their guests and perhaps even with the people who are volunteering. So that started off about September last year. Unfortunately, the funding they had for that CRM fell through. So I'm now helping them write grant applications and letters out to try and get funding in other ways. And I'm also helping them with a business plan for being able to offer this service in people's homes throughout the area. So lots of ways I was able to help out. I don't have a medical background. I'm not a nurse. I'm the queen of admin. I can pretty much put my hand to any sort of typing and communication piece, and I spend my life sitting behind a computer. So COVID's been fantastic for me. I'm doing what I love. And I was able to reach out and say, this is what I do. I find it very easy to do this. So it's no effort for me to, I don't want it to sound egotistical, but I can whip up a grant application in no time. Whereas for their volunteers who that's not their focus or their skill set, they were spending a lot of time. And of course, my passion, efficiency in business processes, can I help you with that? And that's how I've formed a bond with Katie Rose. And yeah, constantly being asked, when are you coming? When are you coming? But at the moment, because of work, I'm not allowed to travel. So yeah, I'll be excited to get up there and meet them.
That's wonderful, Beck. You tell that story much better than I ever could.
Batteries get you everywhere, Willem.
But thank you so much, Beck. The reason I love that story is because see you, Melissa. Thanks for joining. Not a problem. We won't be too long as well. We'll be wrapping up relatively soon. But the reason I love that story is because they're traditional volunteers that maintain maintenance of the gardens, the furniture. Beck didn't have to go and, I don't know, refurbish a chair or something. She could use the skills that she's been building. She could use her skills to actually go and support that organization. It's totally right. Like a volunteer could have written that grant application, but might have taken them 3 hours compared to well, I don't know how many hours a grant application takes, but more than it would have taken Beck Archer. And the way that she helps that back end meant that they could engage their 290 volunteers all the more. So that's what we're trying to do with these kind of online skilled volunteering. How can you use your skills to do that? So thank you for sharing, Beck. I think we have one more not-for-profit story, Jayna.
Yep, so we've got one more. Yes, so our final not-for-profit is the Sydney Peace Foundation. So the Sydney Peace Foundation is an organisation that's affiliated with the University of Sydney, and it showcases the solutions which prove that peace and justice is possible, and inspires and empowers people from all walks of life from all over the world to create that reality in their lives and within their own communities. So it was founded by Professor Stuart Reese here, who is a human rights activist and an author. And he has written really passionately about social justice and considered the themes of what it means to be human. And he's worked within community development in India and Sri Lanka, and was involved in peace negotiations in Cambodia, Israel, Palestine, and Indonesia, West Papua. So the Sydney Peace Foundation is an organisation that recognises that many leaders and governments are lacking in their peace initiatives, especially regarding a variety of issues such as like climate change, inequality, and racism. So they put extra effort into recognising the world's most courageous peacemakers who are doing perhaps behind the scenes work or doing work on the side to promote this peace, and have created a platform which fosters a community of like-minded people who are striving towards the same goal and creating the same future for everyone. And one way that they do this is through the Sydney Peace Prize, which is an award that recognises and celebrates the most effective peacemakers and helps champion their efforts to combat the most urgent global challenges that we have. Okay, and so the opportunity that the Sydney Peace Foundation has up at the moment is that they are looking for events assistance. So with lockdown lifting, it's a really good opportunity to get back into physical volunteering, and this is a really good place to start. So this is one of the in-person volunteering experiences that we have on the platform. So they are looking for multiple event assistants to help out with their Sydney Peace Prize lecture and the gala dinner that's going to be held in March 2022. And these include production assistants and runners, front of house assistants, artist liaison assistants, marketing and social media assistants, and general assistants. So they've got a pretty big range, which means that it's spread out over a variety of skills as well. So hopefully you will be able to help out in one of these areas, and it's not just a specific skill that they're looking for. So this will basically help celebrate the achievements of advocates and will enable all these volunteers to learn about the work that they've done to help communities. And it's an amazing opportunity for any volunteers who are interested to network with local change makers and work with Sydney Peace Foundation professionals. So that's their volunteer opportunity at the moment. And again, we've got a QR code up the top, and I'll give you a few seconds to scan into that if you would like to. Okay, so we'll move on. So you found the perfect opportunity. What's next? So for those who have already joined the Story Circles opportunity at the start, the rest of our volunteering opportunities will work essentially in the same way. So once you have found an opportunity that you're interested in, you've landed on their page on our platform, just pressing the green join opportunity button will add you into that opportunity, and you can head over to the chat tab. There will be a few tabs. There's a chat tab. You can head over there and say hi to the not-for-profit admin, introduce yourselves, and from there they'll be able to set up hopefully an amazing volunteering experience for you. So that's the end of our Story Circles. I'd like to thank everyone for being so engaged and participating in all our little discussions and our poll. And so going back to the Story Circles opportunity page, it's a really good place to get practice. So there are a few other tabs other than the chat tab and the description tab that help structure the volunteering opportunity. This includes a feedback tab. So if you would like to, please provide feedback on our Story Circles event. You can kind of talk about your experience and how the event went and how you found it and how it was helpful for you as well. Yeah, Will, any last words?
No, thank you so much for joining and participating. We will be sending out a recording. We'll be sending out links to everything we covered here today. Most of all, yeah, we hope you enjoyed the stories about our not-for-profits. If you would like to explore the platform more, you totally can, and see the communities, what they're doing, and what kind of volunteers they're looking for. But yeah, thank you for joining, and thank you for sharing.